Do you think maybe we have to rethink what we think courage is? And in fact, while we're at it, do you think maybe we have to rethink what we think makes for a great presentation? Well, if you agree with either of those, stick around because I'm about to give you a whole new lens. Hey, welcome to the Loud. My name is Richard Mulholland. I'm the founder and chief evangelist of Presentation Powerhouse Missing Link. And as a TEDx coach, TED Fellows coach, TED speaker, myself, TEDx speaker, one question I get asked all the time is, hey, do you have any great TED Talk recommendations for me? The answer is always, yes, I do. But it's never the ones you expect. And that's why we created this series. I want to share with you some mind-melting, amazing TED Talks that you probably never heard of before. But before we get there, I think you should watch this video we put together, the right way to watch a TED Talk, because it will give you a new set of questions that you should be asking every time you watch a TED Talk that will really help you get more value out of them. I will make sure I include a link below and you can check it out here. Wherever that happens to be on YouTube. Definitely use this framework for watching videos. That's a framework I'm going to utilize when I share with you today. So, what are we talking about? Well, today I'm talking about a TEDx talk that I think has had 8,000 views, but honestly, it deserves to have 8 million. It is that good. It is probably in my top 5 talks of all time, which surprises people, but I don't think so at all. I think it is absolutely masterful. Now, the irony of this one is I was actually presenting at the same TEDx event. It was in TEDx Cape Town. And here I am all upset about her 8,000 views when I got a terrible 2013. It's not great, but her talk definitely deserves to be watched more than mine. It is just so wonderful. The talk is by a lady called Tegan Phillips and it's called The Funny Thing About Courage, which is also such a perfect name for it when you consider it, because this talk is about courage, but it is also really funny, but it's also the funny thing about courage. Wait, you'll get it when you watch the talk. Really great title. Let's look at it through our questions. Let's start with what does she win me with? The first thing that Tegan wins you with in this talk is her nervous energy, her absolute authenticity. And this is a tricky one because as a presentation coach myself and as a speaker coach, the first thing I'd want to do is try and get her to feel more confident. We always taught that, you've got to look your best and be confident about the message you're delivering. But now she's doing a talk on courage and it's her nervousness that works so well in her favor. It is just a beautiful, it's almost endearing when you're watching it. That was the word that my team utilized when they were going through it. Like, she's a very endearing speaker. Now that is a fantastic quality to have. And it does win you over. The other thing that she wins you over with almost straight out the gates is her humor. Here's a little example of her discussing the shirt she was wearing on the day that both gives you the idea of her nervousness, but also her humor. Check this out.
So this isn't my lucky t-shirt. I thought maybe this whole thing would be a little bit less scary if I could wear my lucky t-shirt. But when my friends found out I was doing this talk, they were all like, Tegan, don't you even think about wearing that old unisex shirt you like to wear so much? And I was like, guys, I can wear a unisex shirt on stage and still be a strong, feminine presence. But they were not very supportive of this idea, so I didn't wear it.
Now, you see what I'm saying there? It's just so compelling. Straight out the gates, you want her to win. Like, you already like her. And that's a great place for a speaker to have their audience. Your audience wants to be sitting in the seats wanting you to win. That's what I want from any audience that I'm in front of. So, let's go to the next thing. What would I want to steal from her? It is her slides. Now, we always say you write a great talk before you design it, before you deliver it. Well, she wrote a masterful talk. When you watch it, take note of the narrative structure and journey she takes you on. However, the design of her slides, relative to her story about the job she reveals she's going for later on in the talk, is fantastic. Why? Because she drew her own, and they are brilliant. If you want to understand teamwork of a presenter and their deck, working in harmony together, helping each other out. This is a great example. The deck wasn't there to mirror what she said. It was there to add to what she said. And the fact that she drew the slides and the humor came through was amazing. If you have skills and you're able to do something like this, this is a great tool. Another really nice example for that for me would be Tim Urban's TED Talk on procrastination. Here's a short little clip for you on that.
So here's the brain of a non-procrastinator. Now, here's my brain. There is a difference. Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey. Now, what does this mean for the procrastinator? Well, it means everything's fine until this happens. So the rational decision maker will make the rational decision to do something productive, but the monkey doesn't like that plan. So he actually takes the wheel and he says, actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan-Tanya Harding scandal because I just remembered that happened.
See what Tim did? Ha! Incredible. And a similar style didn't have to be overly complex, but it just works so well. If you're able to do something like this, it's definitely still going to be remarkable and something that I wish I could do. And maybe I will do one day if I feel brave enough. Hey, my wife's an artist. Maybe I can get her to collaborate on some slides with me. Or maybe even Tegan will collaborate with some slides with me. You know, maybe we should chat. Where does that leave us? Well, as a coach, what would I help her fix? Now, as I said on the top of the video here, the one thing that we have to be very, very careful is the last thing you want is a talk like this to feel too rehearsed and too great. But there are two observations that I'd like to make that I think would have helped the message without losing any of her personal authenticity in the delivery. These are tools that I think you can utilize in every presentation you do to make you a bit better as well. The first is how she manages her segues. Let me show you this by way of a transition from slide to slide.
You're an introvert and you really don't want to do that because it sounds awkward and embarrassing. So you turn to Fear and you're like, okay, buddy, what are my options? And Fear looks at you with that face and you realize he's got nothing.
You can see a few little things. Tegan looks down, she's kind of clicking, and she's trying to see where her slide continues. And what that means is it means that some part of the comic timing wasn't great. Now, how do we work around this? The most important thing is to make sure, and I always reach out to organizers, or I have my screen with me, but make sure that you can see your next slide. Now at this event, luckily they set it up that we could, if we'd asked for it, to see where your next slide is so you know exactly what's coming next. And then what I do is I want to make sure the slide changes at the right time. But all I have to do is to look at the projector or to look at the glow of the screen beside me. When I hit click, I know the screen has changed. So I can allow this to happen for my comic timing. Click, wait, have that laugh. And you know, she can refer to her slides like click. You know what I'm saying? And bring it up that way. But just some parts of the timing, it felt like she was in a bit of a battle with her slides. And I could see something wasn't working with the clicker. The other thing is the eye contact. By looking down at your comfort monitor and your timing, you're breaking the eye contact with your audience a lot. That's not ideal. By maintaining that eye contact, she wouldn't have lost any of her energy, but she may have been able to feel that she had a little bit more flow. And flow is very, very helpful for you as a presenter. And it's very, very helpful for your audience, not breaking the magic of what's going on. The second observation I'd like to make is how she opened. Now, bear in mind, when you're doing a TED Talk, you have two audiences. You have the audience in the room in front of you, that, you know, the 150 people, but then you have the 150 million people around the world. That is your audience. Now, the 150 people in the room in front of you, they can't leave. They're going to stick around. They're going to smile and laugh and enjoy every one of your stories and jokes, and that's fantastic. But the 150 million people around the world that potentially could watch your talk, they will leave if you do not hook them nice and early. And to steal from Tegan's own page, we need to talk a little bit about this hook. And by the way, you should definitely check out her Tegan Phillips Comics Instagram page. Also will include a link down below. It is phenomenal. And she gets so much engagement on her posts, which is not surprising because they're brilliant. But I do wish that Tegan had a hook relatively early. You see, she comes straight out the gates with her story.
Okay. So this isn't my lucky t-shirt. I thought maybe this whole thing would be a little bit less scary if I could wear my lucky t-shirt.
But as we say a lot here, nobody cares about your story. They care about their story and how your story can help serve them better. So what I may have done is have her open with a line such as, the funny thing about courage is that it's a pretty funny thing. And I think we all have a relatively unhealthy relationship with it. And what I want to do is, by telling you my story today, I'm hoping to explain how changing my relationship with courage made my life better and how I think it can do the same for you. But speaking of courage, I'm feeling a bit lost today because I'm not wearing my lucky shirt and then got into that bit of the story. Now, that's far from perfect as an off-the-cuff take of it, but it does let you know why you should stick around, how engineering courage can change your relationship with it for your life and make you live, better. So we just need to let the audience know slightly what's in it for them early on so that they know they got to stick around until the hook is in properly. And for me, she hooked me relatively early on, and I was really wanting just to hear the story unfold. But I know there's others on the team and on our original Story to Stage program where we watch this talk. Story to Stage is our public speaking program. We work with lots and lots of speakers. We'd love to see you on it. But every week we do break down a talk and we go through it and see what worked and what didn't work. And some of the speakers dialed out because they didn't know why they were supposed to carry on listening. So we got to make sure we get the hook early. And I think that would be one small thing that I would have worked with Tegan. As an aside, on that very conversation on Story to Stage, we invited Tegan to come and join us and debate it and discuss her process and what worked, and she generously did. After that, I asked her, I'd like to go out to lunch and discuss the content and things like that. So we went out for a great lunch, and she followed up with this incredible little drawing that she sent me afterwards that I was just completely blown away by. Her skill as a presenter and as a cartoonist is just an incredible unfair advantage she has over the rest of us mere mortals. The one thing that I want you all to take away from Tegan's talk, which wasn't perfect by the traditional measures of what makes a great presentation, is this: perfectly done is the enemy of perfectly fine. And her delivery was perfectly fine. It was incredible, and it's the reason that it's definitely up there in my top 5 TED Talks of all time. All right, so that's it from this one. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I love watching this talk. I've now seen it maybe 4 or 5 times, and every single time I've enjoyed it a little bit more. The idea of unsexy courage is one that I think all of us should be thinking about, especially going over the holiday season. So let me know down below what your favorite parts of the talk were. Let me know what you want to steal, and let me know other talks that you think are underrated that we should be looking at in the future. Until next time, take it easy and lead loud.